Rome, 44 BC. The middle of March. As dawn broke, the stones of the Roman Forum glowed red in the morning light. The city, usually filled with the noise of busy markets, was unusually silent. History itself seemed to be holding its breath. At the same time, Caesar's wife Calpurnia awoke from a nightmare. In her dream, blood poured from Caesar's statue, and shadows fell across Rome. Her heart was pounding. "Do not go to the Senate today," she begged. But Caesar smiled, took her hand, and said, "Cowards die many times before their deaths. The brave die but once." A soothsayer had once warned him, too. Beware the Ides of March. But Caesar no longer listened to such omens. His power had grown to a point where even the gods seemed beneath him. He dressed in his white toga, placed the laurel crown upon his head, and with a proud step walked out of his villa. That morning everyone in the streets greeted him. Soldiers, senators, merchants. Smiles were everywhere. But behind those smiles, secrets hid in the shadows. Without knowing it, Caesar was walking toward the final act of his life. When he entered the Senate, the air was warm and crowded. Faces smiled, but those smiles were cold as ice. Cassius, Casca, and Brutus were waiting. Caesar sat down on his throne-like chair and began to hear petitions. Everything seemed normal, or so it appeared. Cassius approached and handed him a petition. Caesar raised his hand and refused. Then, silence. Casca pulled a dagger from beneath his toga and struck Caesar. Chaos erupted in seconds. Chairs crashed, men shouted, blood splattered on the white marble floor. Then came the others. And finally Brutus. Caesar fixed his eyes on him, years of friendship turning to betrayal. "Et tu, Brute?" "You too, Brutus," he whispered. Brutus's hand trembled, but he did not withdraw the blade. Caesar fell to the marble floor. His toga was soaked in blood. The greatest man of Rome died by the hands of his closest friends. For a moment the city seemed frozen. Only the sound of the wind could be heard. When the news spread, the people of Rome flooded the streets. Some called it the birth of freedom. Others saw it as the death of a god. The forum filled with shouts and tears. Anger grew, like fire beneath stone. Mark Antony stepped forward before the crowd. In his hands he held Caesar's blood-stained toga. He raised it high and cried, "This man lived for Rome, and he died for Rome." Soon the city fell into chaos. Torches were lit, stones were thrown, and the homes of the so-called traitors were burned. The Republic had expected peace, but what it received was fire and vengeance. Yet from that chaos a new power was born. Caesar was dead, but his legacy lived on. His ideas were stronger than the daggers of his friends. Rome was already marching toward empire. And so it was. The death of one man became the birth of an era. The fall of Caesar marked the rise of Rome. Sometimes a single blade can destroy an empire. And sometimes that same blade can create one.